All right, so we're back here on another Washington Football Guys podcast, episode 28, the Daryl Green Hall of Fame edition, and it is
Yep.
a victory podcast for us tonight. Rob, oh, now you sitting at your crib on October 31st after a hard fought loss to the Denver Broncos. Fast forward now to December the 5th. Would you ever think that this team would be on a 4-game winning streak and be at 500
No way in
and
hell.
the sixth seed if the season end of the day would be the sixth seed in the NFC for the playoffs?
No way in hell. Sitting at 2-6 on Halloween night, the season looked dead, and it was.
Yeah.
And I even said at that point in time and times before that there were no more winnable games on our schedule because of the way that we were playing. And man, to sit here, 36 days later,
Yeah.
we're at 500, and currently with San Francisco losing after we did, currently, like you said, if the playoffs ended right now today, we would be the sixth seed. We'd be traveling to Tampa to face a team that we've already played and beaten. Now, given playoff Tom Brady is completely different than regular season Brady, but still, we'd be traveling to Tampa and hopefully to do what they did to us last year.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy 6 weeks since, or yeah. It's been a crazy 6 weeks since that day.
Yeah, and it's just funny to me because I don't know about you, and I know this is sound kind of like crazy now, like think about it in hindsight. But when we came back from the bye before the game started, I don't know, for some reason I had a renewed sense, like even just having that week off kind of refreshed me, even though a week off from this show, but I mean I do everything else. But something about it felt a little bit more different. Like I think we needed that week because it felt like it was just getting to a point where it was getting like, all right, we just keep on every week we here and we smiling through these losses and this, that, and the third. And I just feel like that bad week has just recharged everyone. I think it's just one of the things where you sit back and you think to yourself like, because we was like, oh man, it's good to be back, from the bad week, and kind of it was like almost like the stop the bleeding type of process. And it was one of the things where even in that coming off the bad week when we talked, it was more so of, hey, we need to see what this team is all about. Like we need to see, you know, is this a rebuild? Is this a team that can make a run? Because at that time we thought about it, but it won't. One of the things kind of like you kind of keep on the back burner. Because even now, I think even with this 4-game win streak, I still want to kind of pump the brakes on it in a sense. Don't trust me, I'm excited, but I still want the good times to roll. But
Yeah.
now you're just looking at just what this team has done thus far, even just what they've done. Reminiscent of last year, a lot of it. And I'm telling you, it's so funny. And that's shout out to Facebook memories because I literally did a post and it's actually, and I didn't know this was true. So last year, I think that's after we lost to the Giants, that heartbreaking Alex Smith threw the interception to Logan Ryan kind of sealed the deal that game. That was a turnaround point for us. And at that game, I said, we suck. Right? So then on Halloween, I put, we suck. And guess what? Guess what has happened? And I'm telling you, superstitions are real. Like these type of habits are real.
It feels like it.
It does. And I look at like Jeff Power rankings, like from last year. How I remember we were slotted like in the mid-20s, and now we kind of same thing last year. We were slotted, like in 22 right around this time, and then we kind of moved up into like that 15, 17 mark, and it looked like probably more like we'll be in that predicament with Jeff Power rankings. Not to kind of sway him, but 9 times out of 10, I think we'll be on the left side of his power rankings come Tuesday.
We should be.
I think so. I think at this point, especially being a team of this caliber, that team actually fighting for their playoff lives as well. So, yeah. But wow, hell of a win. Hell of a win.
This team showed, and we're gonna get into it anyway. But this team is one of those games where this team showed what they're made of.
Yeah, right. Big time. And yeah, big time.
And
Yep.
what George is saying is
Yep.
true.
Yeah.
Before the bye week and pretty much the history of the last
Yep.
15, 20 years of this team is we
Yep.
find ways to lose games like this. Plain
Hmm.
and simple. We can sit here and this team will be in games, will make good plays throughout it, and then something will happen. And even now, with this winning streak that we're on, every game there seems to be something. Because in the Tampa game, despite the lead, we thought every completed pass by Tom Brady was, oh, here it is, here's the end
Yep.
of it, and it ended up
Yep.
not being the end of it. The game against Carolina, we're leading, and then
Yeah.
Cam went on a little drive, and again, oh, here it is, or the penalty. That
Yep.
was the big one. The penalty at the end of the first half again in the Carolina game or the Tampa game. Like, oh, there it is. There's the momentum that Tampa needed. Same thing in
Yeah.
against Seattle last week, Monday night. That 97-yard drive or 93-yard drive that Russell Wilson had at the end of the
Yep.
game. Thought, well, yeah, we found a way to lose it.
Yep.
And here, the dumb play or the dumb penalties, missed tackles. It was just, well, we're finding a way to lose, and we're not
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
We're closing out games and we're finishing them, which is a
Yeah.
nice change of pace from the past.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, where you just look at it, where yeah, this could have been. This was a game that I definitely thought, the way things were, we kind of led throughout the whole game, but there were pockets where it's like we should have capitalized and kind of put a stranglehold on this lead. And then with Raiders getting that lead with like 2 minutes left to go in the game, those are the type of games that, like you said, in past situations we'd have lost. We'd had a situation where we had had a lead for 57 and a half minutes, and then boom, they take over. So this is one of those things where you look at just from the simple fact that they're taking care of business, and that's one thing too where that's the difference between winning and losing in this game. And like you said, we're not accustomed to it. Usually we're the we're the ones that's the unfortunate ones who are on the receiving end of those losses. So that just lets you kind of know how this team is just different. This team is definitely, this isn't, the former, the team that we identified with maybe a few years ago in certain types of administrations. I don't want to, throw no names out, but
I
Roden,
appreciate that.
but yeah, but yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, just another great win. So Rob, let's talk about your takeaways of this matchup of our 17-15 victory over the Raiders. What
For
you
the
got?
second week in a row, we win, or for the second time in 6 days, we win a ball game by a score of 17-15.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Right. Yeah, I thought about that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Right. Right.
the, the biggest thing though is just grit.
Yeah.
Grit and efficiency. Um, Taylor Heineke once again didn't put up stellar numbers: 23 of 30, 196, two touchdowns, one pick, 101.5 passer rating. Pretty decent passer rating. Derek Carr put up much better numbers: 28 of 38, 249. No touchdowns, no picks, but passer rating of 90.8. This defense, now, how we just talked about, you know, where we were at on Halloween and a few weeks before that to where we're at now, something that I never thought I would say this season, not having Landon Collins, it hurt us. And
Yeah.
you could tell
Yes.
he
Yes.
was a big part of
Yeah.
why Renfro was able to get so many of those quick passes and
Yeah.
wasn't a huge amount of pressure in Derek Carr's face.
Yeah.
But again, like we just talked about, like how George said, this team, he thought this team would have found a way to throw it away, which we pretty much agreed. We thought that they would do it too, and it seems to actually be turning around. The culture that Ron Rivera is putting in place now is starting to show. This team that, because even during the 4 game losing streak, we were still talking about how hard they were playing. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't give up on this guy on Coach Rivera, and it shows.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, definitely appreciate shout out to my boy Lamar, avid Cleveland Browns fan. You know what? You're welcome. I want Cleveland to make it. Obviously, so definitely, no problem. Anything I can help as far as give you guys help, wild card help, it's my pleasure. And
We
plus,
do
it's
it for
y'all
you
bad
guys.
weeks. And plus, it's your bad week. Hey, just call it early Christmas gift. I don't have no wrapping paper, but or a bow, but and that's a huge shout out to our guy Tyler Ingram, our guy. Yes, long live the musty Taylor shirt. Yes, indeed, the legend of Taylor Heineke. Let me show this in the screen. The legend of Taylor Heineke lives again. So we here, So hey, yeah, but once again, oh man, big takeaways. Like you said, 4 straight wins. I mean, my goodness, like to be here, 4 weeks later, saying that this team, I honestly thought if someone said, well, how it would have been, as a post game maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, oh, we would be talking about like little stuff like, oh, draft positions
Yep.
or pack it in, all kind of stuff. But no, that this, we're in the midst of a playoff fight, and to a point where this team just fights, and that's the thing where you want to see this type of football, and that's the thing we've been kind of crying and shouting for years. We always wanted a resolve. We wanted toughness from this team. We want a team that if they get hit twice or they get hit, how they respond. If they
Yeah.
get hit by a left hook, how they going to respond. Obviously, this team is definitely has a lot of, lot of counter punches to this point. So I look at that. The only thing I really feel for Logan Thomas, and it's one of those things where it's like even in a loss, you always it's heartbreaking certain things. Like I know when Chase went down, that was a heartbreaking situation. Logan just coming back, getting into his
Yeah.
groove. He was another guy. I was like, gosh, like you really hope that he you know, that it's you're hoping for the best, but you're anticipating the worst.
Yeah.
Obviously, with
And
that injury, yeah,
I do think that a flag should have been called on that play because the it was away from the ball. I think Antonio Gibson got the handoff on the left side of the formation, and Logan Thomas was on the right side. Um,
yes, we're laughing. Yes, indeed, we're
yes,
laughing.
we
Yes,
are
we're
that.
laughing.
Yeah, he sent a message in the group chat on Thursday about, or yeah, on Thursday night was like he
Yeah,
didn't answer my message at all, and I
yeah,
felt bad.
yeah.
Um, yeah, hopefully Logan Thomas is able to get back. Hopefully it's not a serious knee injury. He didn't go into the locker room, which to me is a good sign. So hopefully with a little bit of little rest and recovery, they get the day off. They should have day off tomorrow and Tuesday as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully with that he'll be able to he'll be able to come back for a big game on Sunday.
Yeah. And the thing too is where this is really like a Ron Rivera kind of coach team where we always often talk about like the ebb and flows and the emotions of how getting caught up in certain things. All Ron going back to Carolina, we looked at that as like all such a. I know in his heart of hearts, it's an emotional thing, but he kept it within emotions. And think about it, a short week. This now imagine this is a short week. I don't
Yeah,
think people really realize how short of a week this is, and you're going to the West Coast.
yeah,
So you look at that where that's another component where I like you look at a guy like Ron Vera, his mental makeup of how this team is, because you think about it, you coming off a gut wrenching Monday night football game, then you're headed west for a team that's just as hungry as you when it comes to the postseason. We're not playing like a Seattle team that's kind of just there. We got a team that's fighting for their playoff lives as well,
right,
and they've had a propensity of being in this situation in November, December, and not taking care of business, not finishing. So you look at that coupled with with our mental toughness, just to get a win like that on the road. It's just it's a credit to Ron Berry and his staff. He got those guys prepared and got them ready. So that's one thing too, where you look at it like it's hell of a win, man.
yeah.
God, like hell of a
And it was
win, man.
big because with Philly
Yeah,
beating the Jets today, that pushed
Yep.
them for the time being until our game, was
Yep.
settled.
Yep.
Pushed them into second place in the division, and then
Yep.
gave them that 7 seed. So,
Yep.
but yeah, like Kenneth said, he did say 3 weeks ago the division one wasn't over, and
Yeah.
even I said
Yeah.
after we beat
Yeah.
Tampa, I said it half jokingly,
But
but I did make a mention to Mo that
yeah,
I told him nothing's
this is
clinched yet. There's no
no.
X or a Y or a Z
No.
by anybody's name yet.
Yeah.
We got people on the network who talking about, a couple weeks ago they were talking about how they're the best team in the league because they're the number 1 seed, and
Yep.
you know before an hour and a half ago they were the
Yep.
3 seed. Like it's
Right.
crazy how things can it's so
It can
fluid,
change. Right.
and things can change, especially this season more than any, as we've seen.
But you know what? And I'm gonna take a page out of all of that. I'm we the Washington football guys. We ignore that outside mess. It's me. It's Paul. It's me and you. At the end of the day, and it's I don't know how many of us in that chat. It may be 40 of us. But guess what? We eliminate that noise. We
Yep.
eliminate that noise, and we know when we know. We've been saying it's crazy. We've literally said to this point where December 12th is the beginning of what we said, because our goal, my goal, all our goals are, hey, you need to be at least 500. Worst case scenario, you need to be at least hovering at 500 or over 500,
Yep.
because those final 5 games are going to play it into its shape. And yeah, and I'm glad that they're naysayers. But guess what? As we got 5 more games, we're going to eliminate that noise, and it's okay. Don't So at the end of the day, you gotta that's one situation where, hey, there's doubt in everybody's mind and they're creeping in it. But guess what? We're gonna ignore the noise. We're just gonna continue to play week in and week out. I see some chatter in there today. Eh, Okay, that's cute, but we running our own race.
Yep.
I don't care. Like, yeah, you can say that about our quarterback all you want, but don't throw glass houses. I mean, don't throw stones in a glass house, my friend. Guess what? We're on a 4 game winning streak, and we're gonna continue to play. Ignore all the noise. Ignore all the noise. We week in and week out, any given Sunday.
Yep.
Just keep on playing, be methodical. Let the fodder happen. Let that fodder in that chat happens. But guess what? It's us against the world. And we here, 6-6, where we supposed to be. Okay?
Yeah. You kept saying that we have one, two. We're tied for the third longest win streak in the league right now.
Yep.
The Dolphins have the second most at 5. The Patriots
Yep.
are at 6 right now, and then us and the Chiefs are both at 4.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Hey.
and we've beat 2 teams that Dallas was not able to beat.
Right.
So, it goes,
Yeah.
of course, take
Yep.
that with a grain of salt, but that just
Yep.
goes to show that, we're
Right.
not far behind.
No.
Everybody thought that this Dallas team, that this was it, that it was gonna, this was gonna be the team that finally put them over the edge, and especially with our 2-6 start,
Yep.
thought that there was no way that the division was basically locked up, on Halloween night, and here we are, we're 2 games back,
Yep.
heading in. It was still 2 to go against Dallas,
Yep.
so it
Exactly.
like Kenneth said, it's gonna be a wild finish.
Exactly. And it will be. And that's the thing. We're gonna hear a lot of people this week. All that I'm gonna hear, we hear all that fodder all week. But guess what? We're just gonna be methodical. We're gonna keep doing the same thing we've been doing for the last 28 episodes of N. We just gonna come in there methodical and just come out and just do what we gotta do. I hear that noise. I trust me, I've been hearing it already. Oh, it's Dallas week, it's Dallas week. All right, that's cute. Let's get this win off today. Sleep on it. Monday is Dallas week.
Yeah.
Okay? And as simple as that. I'm not gonna go back and forth with y'all this week. I'm just not. I'm just not gonna do that. I'm not. That's just not my style. We're gonna just come in there methodical, and guess what? When the dust settle, the winner's gonna win.
Yep.
So hey, But yeah. But yeah, definitely huge. Shout out to Tyler. Brian Johnson. Yes. Yes.
Before that kick, man,
Yes.
I was so a part of me did want them to go for it, on that 4th and 1, just because never seen Brian Johnson kick.
Yes,
You didn't
yes,
know, a 48-yard, a 48-yard field goal in today's NFL is, it's not necessarily a gimme, but
right,
you're expected to make it a majority of the time.
right.
I was so nervous.
Who you
I've
telling?
never been so excited for a 48-yard field goal to go through the uprights before in my entire life.
Yes. And because they kept on saying, well, because remember that was Burkett and Olsen was on the call, and they
Mhm.
were like, well, we can only based on his experience, his previous experience, like 52 yards. And I'm like, I don't like that. Now that made me like even more. I was already scared, but then that made me doubly scared. Like
And shout out to
he
Greg
said,
Olson. Greg Olson in this world where a lot of people focus on commentators and their
mhm,
ability to commentate on the game. I personally don't care too much about it just because
yeah,
I watch the game for the games. I could watch the game on mute if I really wanted to.
mhm,
He's actually really good. He's one of the better ones, especially coming from, being a former athlete. He's up there with, I don't want to say he's up there with Tony Romo, but the way he was explaining the game, that I could put somebody in front of the TV who has never watched a game of football before in their life, and they would slowly start to understand, what he was talking about, and would understand the game eventually. He
yeah,
was really good.
yeah. Big time, and I think so too. I think, and I just like just some fact of like kind of like he's another one that kind of puts you behind the curtain as far as knowing what to do. Like I know he talked about like I know as far as him talking to the tight ends coach about John Bates and how John Bates, how he's going to be like kind of next up. Those type of type of things that like insight that you don't normally would get from a regular broadcast. Obviously you probably get it with the Homer broadcast more so just
Yeah,
from a national standpoint. But yeah, he did his thing and it's. But yeah, that was scary. The Brian Johnson. I'm like, because at first I'm like, if he missed this, I'm gonna dust hockey y'all to death. Well,
he looked good today
right,
against
right,
Cincinnati.
right, right. And I'm like, all y'all that wanted him gone, see what happened. But nah, but what and that's one thing too. That's another thing when you really sit down and you think about it, of how strong this team is and how to overcome things. We people limit people say, oh well, the kicker don't matter. Yes, he does. Like you look at how that affected us Monday night versus tonight. Where you look at this situation where Monday night, where we didn't have the ability to have a kicker, where when we were in short yard situations, normally in theory you would just kick a field goal, but no,
Right.
we had to go for it on fourth and whatever in the red zone because we didn't have a kicker. And thank God, Trash Away was so transparent to the fact that hey, I can only kick about 35 yards. First of all, God bless him for that because normally, like we talked about on Friday, us men, we gonna be like, look, I tell him now, even me, if Ron told me, hey, I kick a 40-yard field goal,
Yep.
like, but in my heart of hearts, hell no, you can't kick no 40-yard field goal, but I tell Ron that, you know. But that's another thing with that's another guy that you think to yourself like we picked up and he made huge dividends, and that's another thing where that's a tough spot. I mean, this man just got called up this week and had to make a game-winning field goal like that, and it's kudos to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, shout out to my co-host Maui. Hey, but it will next week. Yeah, the economies be booming in Virginia. It will be, but but yeah, but yeah, man. So let's see what we got here. How was the game won? I know we kind of took up talk about a little bit, but your thoughts on how the game was won in your opinion?
Um, same way as the 3 games before this has been won. Time of possession. This one wasn't as good as good as the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah,
We held the ball for about 6 more minutes. We had a ball for 33 minutes and 43 seconds. Vegas had it for 26-17. Our biggest one was in the first quarter. We held the ball for 10 minutes and 36 seconds. They had the ball for just under 4.5 minutes. Fourth quarter was near identical. And third downs. We converted 53% of our third down, 7 for 13. It held not Oakland. I'm sorry, Vegas to 2-8, and just 25%. And those were key because we didn't outgain them in yards. Total yards, Vegas had 310. We had 298. We clearly did not, and we're not going to beat them by getting in a shootout. I thought we were, but it's just time of possession, and again, Taylor Heineke being efficient. 23 of 30, 196, 2 touchdowns, had the one pick, but had a passer rating of 101.5, which, is he the future of the franchise? Probably not. But he's what we have right now, and he's doing
Yep.
what we are asking him to get done.
Yep. And that's the down. And that's the only thing that you can really anticipate at this point. It's one of the things where with him, he was a backup. He's a backup quarterback, so we have to be real about the situation. What he's doing now, and he has ample time to see to determine if he's going to be the long time future of
Yeah,
this
true.
team. He got 5 games and a potential, some games in the third week of January. Potentially.
Potentially, we can only
We'll
hope.
put the cart. We'll put the cart before the horse. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but he has an opportunity to kind of see what he's going to do. Yeah, I think like you said, Rob, really, the time possession. I mean, like we always say that 33 minutes and 43 seconds time possession is key. Like we always said, put yourself in that 30, 35, 36 kind of range right around that time where I think you could be really successful. 7 for 13 on third downs. The thing too, I think what was beneficial to us as well too was establishing the tone early.
Yeah,
Even though surprisingly we got an opening drive, I was shocked. I
only
was
our
like,
second of the season,
yeah, only the second
and it
of the
was a
season.
good drive too.
Right. And that's where to me, even though you look at they only had the opportunity another touchdown. But those type of things you really set to yourself, that sets the tone because that lets me know, okay, we got success. We'll be able to kind of at least move the ball down the field, even though some of those possessions that we had didn't, go into like as far as a touchdown drive, but we were close, one of those types of situations because you really want to eat. That was the kind of the key in this game. They established the tone early.
Yeah,
They played that on the football because, like you said, my biggest fear was we were going to be in a shootout with them. Because you look at, I think when they put up 36 against Dallas on Thanksgiving, I think it was something like that. It was 30 plus. I put it this way. I'm not
hmm
sure the number itself, but that's another one where you think to yourself like you got 30. I, I knew, and holding that team to 15 points is just it's great. And then Derek Carr, you kind of set him up. He didn't really do much per se. He had some decent plays, but he had no touchdowns. So you look at just from that standpoint, you look at just those type of things. We always say that kind of the keys for the game is really establish the tone early. They established it early by having that opening drive and kind of having that success with the run game. Obviously with AG, he was effective. Once again, another great performance by him this week. So, you know, this is established that tone. Like, that's always kind of the key for this team because we already know how this team is kind of the makeup of the team. We're really kind of devoid of a lot of offensive weapons per se, compared to some of our opponents that we've had in the past. But and Taylor being effective on like converting on those third downs, which help sustain those drives and help amplify the time of possession. So that just gives you opportunities to just be on the field, and you tire out the defense because we all know if you tire out that defense, you know that's a key. That's a major key to get a victory. But yeah,
exactly.
yeah, but yeah. So we got to give out some grades. Let's get that queued up. All right. So what you get in the offense today?
I give the offense a B. They left a lot of points on the field. After that first drive, I really thought that it was going to be a shootout, and the over that I took, the 40 over 47.5, was looking really good,
Oh,
and then just completely stalled out. Didn't do anything else for the rest of the half. But again, they did what needed to get done. They converted when they needed to convert, and they got the job done. Defense, I will give them is weird because I want to give them a lower grade. I'll probably give them a B, just because
mhm.
they didn't look good. They gave up yards, but that 2 for 8 on third down, it weighs heavy on me a lot right now because of our we're last in the league in third down defense, um, giving up a well over 50% on third downs. But the last 4 weeks, this has been kind of a trend of what this team, is down this stretch, and it's not giving up those third down conversions, keeping them again at 25% this week, which I think is the lowest of the last 4 games.
Yep.
And then red zone efficiency, um, and then one for two on touchdowns. So I mean that was clutch. And then offense school went 2 for 2. They scored touchdowns on both their red zone drives. So I'll give a B for both. And special teams, I give an A. DeAndre Carter had that little bobble, but it didn't hurt us. And Brian Johnson with the game winning field goal, or the
Clutch.
go ahead field goal, with 30, 31, 37 seconds left, was clutch.
Yeah. Big time. Offense, I'm gonna give them a B minus. I'm like you when there was points where this team that could have put up some more points, and that's one of the things where even though in a loss, it's kind of one of the things where it's like I hope that doesn't bite us in the butt going forward, where you have the situation because not generally putting up 17 points, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win football games in that kind of manner. So you had opportunities to kind of like I talked about it, kind of alluded to in the beginning, where there were opportunities where they really could have pretty much put the foot on their necks of the Raiders early. I was happy, I was, one of those things where I'm gonna give them a B. I think 298 yards was sufficient total yards altogether. Like I said, many opportunities out the field. The defense, I'm gonna give them a. I'm gonna give them an A. I'm gonna give them because they really had a bend but don't break type of philosophy. We kind of we always say it's cliche to eliminate big plays, but we know big plays happen. And like, even though they gave us that excuse in the beginning of the year, and we was like BS. There's a such thing as a as big plays and then back breaking plays.
Yeah,
There was there was so many broken back plays that a chiropractor would have been would have been
it
on
would have
this
made a
team.
fortune.
It would have made a fortune. He would have had prime real estate at his facility at the training facility. So there's a difference here. You can live with a Hunter Winthrows having 102 yards, essentially.
Yeah,
You can live with that because he had those kind of long plays. And I know my boy Cole had a little rough outing with the boy with him, but that just let you know, like you said, that's another one where you look at how Landon Collins, his absence was felt.
yeah,
That's another one where you look at how him kind of being there at that spot. He could have definitely been able to take advantage of that. I think, in my personal opinion, would have been would have been a big mismatch on their end. Um, and we talked about Josh Jacobs. He was another one where we kind of thought he was going to kind of come into his own. He was kind of been inconsistent ever since he's returned. He had what we said a Cincinnati game. He had 52 yards. Even though he did have a touchdown, but I think we did a great job of containing him. The only thing that made me mad was when he did that leap. Somebody should have been in the air and punched that ball because we would have got there. It would have been to the
yeah,
house. Like, literally, if somebody would have been there and punched that ball out of there, because he just had it and it was just like right here, and I'm like,
yep,
oh, you ain't gotta punch it, you can just push it out. He would have got that. Somebody would have took that home.
yeah,
But that was good. Like we said, Derek Carr, you had him to 0 touchdowns, and he's like we talked about him early on Friday. Well, Thursday. but we had him, but we, how he was, at that point was leading the league in passing yards. I think we held him to kind of, somewhat of an average kind of day for him. So yeah, this is definitely the bend but don't break defense that we kind of been looking for, you know, this whole entire year. And for them that, especially for a Raiders team, just to hold them to 15 points, because we still got to think about this. And then Deshaun Jackson was only a factor, obviously, in that goal, not goal line, but that red zone play that led to that touchdown. He, we kind of, what's another thing I was kind of worried about, because obviously, guys want to go, do stuff against their old team. So,
Hmm.
you always kind of think about that in the back of your head. And Lloyd, I thought Peyton Barber was gonna run. Remember, he had I forgot, it was a kick return. I thought he had like a hole, like a huge hole, and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my god, do not let this man score. Do not let this man get, because I'm telling you, I'm always leery about former guys that been on this team as far as what they can do, because obviously, it is what it is. Special teams in A, like you said, DeAndre Carter, what he did, like you said, he had that little muffled, but thank God he was the only one that was that was in the vicinity, because that would have
yeah,
been another one that could have been ugly. We could have been a different complexity of this game. But Brian Johnson, I think he's another one. Like, I mean, that kick is just like, I mean, it was amazing. And that was another thing too. Like, when it came that 4th and 1 play, I like, all right, a part of you want to do it, but then I looked at that formation. I'm like, I don't know, we're gonna get a yard in now or a few inches that we need. So I like, just be smart. If but I honestly thought that was a first down. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm a little biased. It was tight. It was, the way
it
he
was close, but
rolled,
I think
it
his
was
back
close.
hit just short.
It
I
hit,
will say
yeah,
though, officiating was horrendous for both teams.
yeah, and the
We got a
penalties.
few calls that I didn't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I think the roughing the passer on Max Crosby. I
Yeah,
was glad we got it, but I didn't think that was a roughing the passer.
and also too, as a personal side note too, and that's one thing too I love about this team. And when the Mason Crosby sack on Taylor Heineke and he was trying to get up, and then they was just kind of pushing him back on the ground, and you see Eric Flowers like go at those guys.
Yeah,
Those type of things, and that's what we always talk about, the trenches. Those type of things you want to see that guy, because like, and I hate to kind of talk about Dallas, but last year when your boy John Bostic knocked ended up clean out, nobody came for John for
for
your boy.
Dalton. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's like I looked at that, was like, they don't believe in their quarterback, but the way they did for Taylor today, I was like, that's what you want. That's
yeah,
the type that lets me know that they'll run through a wall for Taylor Heineke. Those type of situations, this is just like, even though people might look at that as being emotional, but you gotta look out for your guys. You gotta look out for your quarterback. And your
yep,
quarterback's like your
absolutely.
little brother. You the big brother, and you gotta protect your little brother. So I loved it. And that's another thing too, where this just shows you the makeup of this team. And that's just like we talk about, like all this type of stuff, it all translate to win on the football field. These little things, little idiosyncrasies that we see, that stuff adds up. It adds up. All these little trappings that we see in the game, this stuff adds up. And you seeing in this team winning week in and week out. These type of situations where they know, just like, I can't wait to see Ron Rivera's locker room speech. I was like, I didn't need coffee Tuesday morning. I was like, bro, I was like, yo, this dude, I swear, he was like, that got me hyped. That's what I was like, every time our boy say something, I always just think about Ron Rivera, like all the type of stuff. It's like, you know what? Forget all that. Forget the noise.
Yeah,
We heal. And it's just like you said, that's all we need is heal. All we need in this room is who we got. I was like, "Ooh, bars."
exactly.
I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, you can't, if you can't get up for that,
Right,
you need to get the hell out of the room.
and that just goes to show why this team refused to give up on Ron
Yep,
Rivera. A lot of
big time.
teams, a lot of players sitting at 2-6 with the season
Yeah.
with the schedule coming up that we had, a lot of players probably would start booking their Cancun trips.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
this team said, "Nope, we're gonna stay in this fighting," and here we are,
Yeah.
currently the 6th seed.
Yeah.
In we're in the playoff picture, with the
Yeah.
chance in the next few weeks to take over the
Yeah.
division and start looking to order another hoodie for us.
Right, and you know what's so funny because I kept on in my mind even after I could say Thanksgiving at the Halloween, I kept on saying, "All right, January 9th, well, January 9th at 4 5 o'clock. All right, this we'll pack it up for a little while and come back for a little bit." And I like I already had my mind and my plans like, all right, we're gonna January 9th, we do the post game, the finale, but like I got bigger plans potentially.
Right?
And we have bigger plans. And yeah, and like you said, it's easy because in my mind I'm thinking to myself, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Well, Cancun on three. I mean, especially I definitely would have said that if we would have lost to Tampa. I'm literally at that
Oh
point
yeah.
because we even said there was a number. Like we still think even eight losses will get you in at 9-8. I think at 9-8 you can get a spot. But I don't know the way things are going. I don't know. But I still say to be on the safe side, at least finish 9-8. Worst case scenario. So now we kind of got a cushion. You don't want to, you still want to control your destiny, but
Right.
I think you still got somewhat of a cushion where, if you could, I think if you can win three out the next five, you're in potentially. And you just don't know because you're thinking to yourself because there's a log jam at 5 and 6, 5 and 7. So that's another thing too, where you really kind of, you look at that even now with 5 games left, we got teams that are, as that losing 8 games, 7 games are still in it.
Yeah.
So you look at it from that standpoint. So I figured I even then I thought 9-8 was gonna be the number for you to get that final spot. But yeah, I was ready to pack it in. I'll be like, yeah, we were. I mean, literally, and I think that bye week kind of helped. That bye week helped, like we talked about it. But yeah, I I was like, all right, January 9th, all right, the season finale in New Jersey. Like, all right, come in here about 5 o'clock, kind of, we'll talk about,
Yeah.
what,
I was getting ready to start all my pre-draft stuff.
yeah,
That's what I was gonna start slowly moving my focus to. And
yeah,
like I said, here we are.
yeah, and it's a
Looking,
run.
we're on the inside of the playoff bubble, and looking
Yeah,
even better now
yeah,
than we did 5 hours ago.
yeah, yeah. And it's just and that's the thing. It's one of the things with this run. You just keep on going. You just keep doing what you got to do. So, Rob, let me where we at now? All right. So, who getting this week's game ball? Who you got?
Um, I gotta give one to Taylor. He didn't ball out, but he did what he needed to do, especially on that final drive.
Yeah.
That final drive to drive down the field and just to get us within in field goal range was huge. I'm trying to remember the pick that he threw because I know he threw a pick. I just
Yeah.
don't remember what the pick was.
It was in the fourth quarter. That was when they was up. That's before. That was when that's when they kicked the field goal. Because remember, they threw it. That was the one. No, that was after. Because that was in the fourth quarter. That was like about 5 minutes ago. Because what ended up happening, the dude hit his
He
hit his
hit on.
arm,
That's
and
right.
then they threw it because it was supposed. I think it was supposed to hit Terry,
Yeah,
and then
it was.
end up hitting the rookie. But speaking of one that didn't happen, your boy was it Mooring from TCU? Oh, he had a
He
clean
should have.
one.
Yeah, I know exactly what play you're talking
Ooh,
about. He definitely
yes.
should have had one.
I was like, yikes! Like, yo, if that's not another one that you think to yourself, we a team of destiny, because I'm like that would have put a nail in a coffin. Like we would have been done. Like we'd have been dead to rights on that one. But hey, you live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Um,
So Taylor
yeah,
and I'll give one to Johnson as well.
yeah,
Um, coming in his first kick with this team, because that was the only field goal we attempted was a game winner. That's just a hell of a way to introduce yourself to the team and the fans.
Yeah, yeah. And now he's gonna live and watch the football team folklore. Like
Hmm.
he's gonna be a guy that we're gonna look at. He's I done moved on, Dustin.
Damn right we did
I
a
done
little
moved
bit.
on,
We'll see.
Dustin. Dustin, I'm sorry, but we done moved on, man. Like, look,
Had to.
Brian Johnson might be the flavor for 5 more years, 5, 6 more years potentially. You know, people say the flavor of the month now. But
Yep.
but yeah, once again, like Taylor Heineke, what he's done, he's efficient. He's another one where we talk about it week in and week out. He's just doing what he has to do, and he just taking care of business. And then, like you said, Johnson. I think Brian Johnson, that field goal, and you gotta think about the pressure of that, the enormity of that pressure.
Hmm.
You're coming in at the quarterback, at the kicker got hurt on Monday Night Football. You got to take this long trip to Las Vegas, and then boom, you kick this field goal, and pretty much you help seal a victory. So when your number was called, you performed.
Yeah.
So yeah, my game ball goes to those guys as well. Let's see another one. You know what? You on one four straight? Hell, I can give out three of them tonight. Jack Del Rio. Jack Del freaking Rio. T- And like I said, there's another one. He comes back because people like, and I'm glad that they brought up in the broadcast. The Raiders had what 18 years since now it's been 20 years since they've been in Super Bowl. They only had one winning record, and that was when Jack Del Rio was there that in 2016. And
Yeah.
then the next year they got rid of him. And that's
Yep.
another one where he's turning around because we will call it. Hey, we keep it a buck. Trust me, we ain't got nothing to hide. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify. You trust us. October, we was ready to get rid of Jack
Oh
Del
yeah.
Rio in a New York minute
Yep.
for sure. But what he's kind of now has bounced back. His defense came out to play. Everybody just came out and just had a great effort. You look at situations like William Jackson did a good job this week, surprisingly. Like I
Shockingly.
like yeah, I love that the pass breakup, couple situations. Um, Kendall Kendall came out. He came out. He played. He did pretty good. Cole has some situations that's kind of Jamie Davis. He balled out. He had a lot of plays, especially containing Jake Jacobs and
Yeah.
also the other guy when they got hurt. What's the Kenyon
Kenyon
Drake?
Drake.
Yeah, the one that got hurt. Yeah, the one that got hurt in that game, Drake. And so you look at that type of situation. Jack Del Rio goes back, even though it ain't his house. And obviously they was in Oakland when he was there, but against his former team.
Mhm.
So yeah, Jack Del Rio gets a game ball for me this week as well. So I got to definitely give him props. This was a kind of an improbable win that was pretty much on the back of his defense. We couldn't have won this game without the stout defense that they had, the bend but don't break defense. But yeah, so yeah, so we'll sleep on this game tonight, and then it's officially Dallas week. Man,
Yep.
what a week! What a week this will be. As we put a bow on this week 13 clutch victory, the road doesn't get any easier. Like we say, every week is like every week is, but that's the beauty thing about it. That's gonna pay dividends going forward, as the season progresses. But yeah, the road doesn't get easier at all.
The last 5 games, all 5 division opponents
Yep.
were 1-0 so far in the division.
Yep.
Hopefully we can finish 6-0.
Hey, if we do, you know what time it is. It's time to
Is it
order
is it
them
hoodie
shirts,
time?
hoodies and shirts. I love to
Right.
add to my collection. Yeah, because if they reel that off, and the thing about it, and it's all about controlling your destiny. You're at a point you've worked so hard at this point that you can still control your destiny.
Yeah.
These 5 games, like we said, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, but remember, you still control your destiny.
Exactly. These 5 games, if I'm not saying we will or we won't, I'm just saying
Yeah.
if we win these 5 games, it doesn't matter what Dallas does, we win the division because we're
Yep.
2 games behind. We have 2 games against them. They could win the rest of their games that aren't against us, and it won't matter. We'll both finish 11 and whatever equals
Yep.
18.
Yep.
But you know what's crazy to think? If this team was playing like this in October, that Chiefs and Packers game
Yeah.
would have been easy wins.
And that's why, in theory, I'm glad. Even though this may not happen, because I think if there was a situation that really kind of would be a game that really would live in my mind rent free in 2021 this season, would be the Saints game.
Yeah,
I'm putting this way with the play of Taysom Hill and the play of uh uh what's the Trevor Simeon. So what they have done, it's one of the things where that's the game I'm going to look at, but potentially I think they're going to be further down because I think they're just at a point where I think they're just not getting any type of good play, and then also with the hurt, the injuries of Kamara and uh, Ingram. So
yeah,
you look at that. So those things, like you said, and the thing about it too is you can even look at those were kind of the beginning. They were kind of like the building blocks of kind of how all this stuff went to. But if you think about it, we look at that Kansas City team where essentially we held them to 10 points at halftime.
yep,
So that was another one too. Green Bay. I think Green Bay, we had a solid chance to win the football game. That's another one where I think Taylor Heineke diving in as if he was like as if the rules didn't change
yeah.
in the off
That with
season.
with four offensive possessions in the red zone,
Yep.
we should have. And at the time, they were the worst red zone
Hmm.
defense. We
Yep.
kind of helped them a little bit, but that should have been that's a game that should have been
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah. And hey, we make it redeem ourselves. Put
Yeah,
on some, get them, go on up there, get some thermals. What they call them? Thermals, Long
some
Johns.
long johns.
All kind, yeah. Hey, we might go back. Yeah, I mean, it can be redeemed. But that's the thing too. That's another one where that was our first opening drive, and that was another one. We had the opening drive, and we kind of controlled the tempo at some points. But then, Aaron Rodgers did Aaron Rodgers things, and that was another one where you looked at where, hey, we in theory, I think we did a good job in that game to
Yeah,
win that football game, but it just didn't, it just didn't happen. One of the games that kind of like eluded us. But hey, you know, hey, we here. Said 6-6. Some people will laugh at this accomplishment, but hey, it is a huge stepping stone for a team that was 2-6. And when the calendar turned November, now we're sitting here, you know, in December, and we're playing our best football. And this is what you want to. This is the
exactly,
position that you really want to be. Some people, this is what you want to be. You want to be playing your best football this time of year.
exactly.
And that's all you can ask for at this point. Everything else was a wash. I mean, we talked about we've been through it. We endured Buffalo. We endured other losses, New Orleans, Kansas City. Kansas City, then Green Bay, Denver. I mean, LA to start the season, the
Yeah,
LA Chargers. Hey, but we here, we playing our best football, and we definitely 5 more games to go in the regular season. And hey, hopefully, this win streak will continue, hopefully. But yeah, man. So yeah, so let's put a bow on this week's Washington Football Guys podcast, the Victory Edition. Which got Rob, social media, any upcoming projects.
y'all know where you can find me. FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Show Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Next Wednesday, we're back with Cruise Island. We're gonna be talking about a few different things. First and foremost, we're gonna be talking about RG3 and his new book that I
Ooh,
cannot wait for. I've already pre-ordered $16.99 in the Apple Store. I bought the audiobook. That's what I'm gonna be listening to on my way to and from work. Actually, it comes out August 22nd. Hopefully, hopefully I'll be moving around that time.
okay.
I'll have a cross country road trip. My wife not won't be particularly happy, but at this point, I'm gonna be the one driving, so I'm gonna get through that book in probably about a day and a half. We'll see. We're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna be talking about least favorite rules in football, whether it be college or pros. We had a little incident in the ACC championship game. Pitt quarterback kind of faked
Yeah.
like he was gonna slide, then he pulled back up and took off. A lot of people praised him for it. A lot of people don't like it, so we're gonna talk about that a little bit. And then college football playoff final rankings came out earlier today. Alabama, Cincinnati in the first playoff semifinal, and then Michigan and Georgia in the second one. And so that's it. That's all I have coming up before these holidays.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that these national semifinal games are going to be on New Year's Eve. I love that. And I'm glad that Herbie said plan accordingly, because everybody used to was so mad about that. Well, I don't want it to be on on New Year's Eve. I'm like, yes, we need it on New Year's Eve.
Right.
We need that. We need that. We need that. But yeah, but most definitely. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Got a live show on Tuesday. Then also we got let's see, Overaction Monday tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Then we also got See You Sunday on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also you got the Watch the Football Guys podcast. We'll have a few pods this week. Kind of, another classic divisional game that of our bitter rivals. The rivalry does continue. So as the legend of Taylor Heineke continues as well.
That's
But
right.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, once again, another great show, and yeah, we'll catch you next week. We'll catch you on Dallas week. We'll put it that way. All right, and we out.